You're listening to Radio Kyoto coming to you from our studios, residing on the molten hot side of the multiverse this evening. And this week, we're continuing our look ahead with Ravnica Allegiance, diving into the new world, taking a look at it from the limited lens. We're breaking up the sets by guilds, because that's how Ravnica works. We'll also add in one of the colors to talk about. And today, we're going to be looking at the Orzhov and Black cards from the set. We're going to focus first with the Orzhov uncommons, then their commons, then the black uncommons, and then on to the black commons. But before we can actually rate the cards, we got to take a look at the rating scale. 5 overall rating is a bomb. Those are probably more for the rares and mythics. Not too many of those we'll see. And taking a look at the commons and uncommons. 4 is an influencer. You see these in your pool or draft. You're going to want to be leaning towards that color pairing. They signify strong cards in that guild or color matching. 3 is the most common because those are the playables. That is what your deck is mostly made out of. 2s are fringe cards. These are your 21st, 22nd, 23rd, 24th cards. You're trying to replace these as you go through pack 3 and forming out your deck. And then the unplayables cards you just don't want to have anything to do with. And with that, we're going to dive into Orzhov. The first card we have here is the Syndicate Guild Mage. Everyone's got a Guild Mage. We're looking at everyone's first here. So 1 white, 1 black for 2/2. You can tap it, 1 generic mana, 1 white mana. Tap target creature with power 4 or greater. You can also tap 4 and a black, tap this. Syndicate Guild Mage deals 2 damage to target opponent or planeswalker. This is a solid mana sink late, especially late because you're going to be looking at its second ability more often. That first ability with the power 4 or greater, solid, but there's a lot of 4+ power matters in Ravnica Allegiance, and that's probably not the one you're necessarily going to be targeting with this guy. You're going to want to be sinking 5 mana, tapping him, dealing 2 each turn. So much better late. We're going to give him a rating of 3. Taking a look at the next card, Pitiless Pontiff. Also, just like our previous card, 1 white mana, 1 black mana, 2 total mana for a 2/2. However, this creature has an activated ability such that you can pay 1 and sacrifice another creature out there, and Pitiless Pontiff gains Death Touch and Indestructible. So this is the 2-drop you want in the guild. It is like an infinite ground blocker or staller as long as you got creatures out there. He is a pain in the butt to get rid of. Someone slaps removal against him. You are just choosing a different creature to sacrifice if you'd rather have that. So it gives you a lot of choice. This is a much better card than the last one. So this gets a rating of 4. Taking a look at our next card, it's one of the split cards, whole cycle of these. So you got Consecrate. You exile target creature from your graveyard, draw a card. You pay 1 generic mana, or this hybrid mana. You're paying either a white or a black for that. So 2 total mana, and you're exiling a creature card from a graveyard. It's okay. You're probably more trying to just cycle this. I read this as cycle this card for 2 mana. But the much better half, Consume here. Target player sacrifices a creature with their greatest power among creatures they control. You gain life equal to that creature's power. 2 generic mana, 1 white mana, 1 black mana. Sorcery speed gets rid of the biggest thing on their side of the table. I look at this 4 mana removal. Pretty efficient. And I think this is the best uncommon in this guild's colors here. Of the white and black cards. We're giving this a rating of 4. You see this, you pick it up. It looks like where you want to be going. Also, splashable. And some of those other color pairings off of this. 4 mana is not a lot. It's something I think you highly want to take. Next up, we got Mortify. Um, Also excellent removal here. One white mana, one black mana, one generic mana, destroy target creature or artifact. Actually, you know what? This one is probably the better, more efficient removal um, that's out there. So this is probably edging it out, the other one. And I also want to just note here the enchantment removal. This is not to be overlooked out there. The versatility of that. You're probably using to destroy a creature, but if you got a bad enchantment out there, or it's game three, game 2 or 3, you're taking a look at the creatures and the artifacts within their deck. You're going to want this. Pick this up every time. Splashable as well, but doesn't give the modality of the last card. Having said that, I'm going to correct it. We want Mortify, top uncommon in this guild. Next up, we got the Basilica Bellhaunter. So 2 white mana, 2 black mana, 4 total mana for a 3/4. When it enters the battlefield, each opponent discards a card. You gain 3 life. It's fine. I think it's personally the worst one of the CCDD cycle that's going on within the guilds. For toughness is okay, but I'm not a big fan of the enter the battlefield ability. I'm giving this guy. I think he's just a 3. The last one we have at the uncommon level, so Knight of the Last Breath, 5 generic mana, 1 white, 1 black, 7 total mana for a 4/4. It's got a decent set of stats about it, though. With 3 generic mana and sacrifice another non-token creature out there, you can create a 1/1 white and black spirit token with flying. So you create one of those afterlife spirits out there. Whenever this dies, it has afterlife 3, so you get to create 3 more of those right at the bat. It's okay. Decent sack outlet, kind of expensive at 3. I think there's better ones out there, in which we'll see. I don't think you're really playing this guy too much. He's just because of the expensive cost, not great for the 4/4 stats. We're giving him a 2. Next up, we dive into the commons. Imperialist Orthogarch. 1 white mana, 1 black mana for 2/1 Vigilance with Afterlink. Afterlife. It's a solid 2-drop, decent stall with you getting kind of one body out there followed by another body. I don't think the vigilance matters too much. Maybe if you're getting this out and they don't have anything else, you're attacking with it. But I think as far as what they look at, the opponent looking across the board, they're going to see it as a decent trade on their side, looking to get it out. But that gives you the 1/1 Afterlife out there as well, so you got to like that. We're going to give this a 3.5. Next up, Final Payment. Some more removal here. 1 white, 1 black at instant speed. Additional cost to casting this. You either pay 5 life, sacrifice a creature, or an enchantment, and you destroy target creature. Pretty good removal at the common level. Big bomb out there. Maybe you're paying the 5 life. A lot of creatures to sacrifice, though, as well. Gotta like it that it's at instant speed, though. You can really get in against the opponent's plans, whether they're tapping out to adapt a creature and you want to get rid of it then, or they're playing some combat trick, or they're double blocking you. You could really take advantage of this and get them. I think this is the best common within the guild's colors, and as such, we're giving that a 4 because removal is premium. Zakopa Vampire for 2 generic mana, and then either a white or black, so the hybrid mana. You get a 3/1 lifelinker. This is solid, probably more so on defense. It's a good stall, so not that great in Rakdos, unless you're looking for some Rakdos control. So it's a lot better in Azorius. I think because 2 of the 3 guilds are probably looking more for this, and it's solid. It's probably coming down on turn 3, gaining new life, taking out some type of creature as you block with it. This one we're going to give a 2.5. A Grasping Thrall, so 3 generic mana, 1 white mana, 1 black mana, 3/3 flyer. Okay. Enter the battlefield ability is deals 2 damage to each opponent. You gain 2 life when this comes in. So you're looking at this probably more as just a 3/3 flyer for 5. It's okay. I think the flyer rate that we're going to see in the set is probably a 2/3. So this will kill those 2/3s out there and survive. So it's fine. The enter the battlefield ability, decent. If you could blink it, maybe even a little bit better. We saw that in the last video. So with it, we're giving it a 3. It's solid, but not going to influence where you're looking to go. All right, we enter into the black uncommons here. And with that, we got our first one is the Orzhov Enforcer, 1 generic mana, 1 black mana. And with that, you get a 1/2 Death Toucher with Afterlife. This is quite solid. Really good early, especially if you're more of a controlling deck, which the Orzhov tend to be. Maybe Rakdos has got a little bit of that. They got some flavor of it, but I think that's not what they're trying to do on turn 2. But this is even good late, with being a 1/2 Death Toucher, and that Afterlife just helps kind of build a chump or get something else going in the air that you may need to get over the fence. So we're going to give this a 4. You see this, I think you'll want to be picking this one up. All right, Bankrupt in Blood, 1 generic mana, 1 black mana, sorcery speed. Also, an additional casting cost to this spell, you got to sacrifice 2 creatures. Payoff, though, you get to draw 3 cards. That's okay. I think this is too expensive just from giving up the board presence. Like, what are you really looking to draw to make up for sacrificing 2 creatures? If anything, these got to be afterlife creatures, maybe the Rakdos creatures that are just gone by the wayside because the board's developed too big around them. And you're trying to refuel your hand, but you're probably drawing 1, maybe 2 lands by the point in time of the game where you're looking to get this off. I don't think it's a card you necessarily want in your deck, and as such, we're going to give this a 1.5. All right, next we have the Bloodmist Infiltrator, a 2/3 for a 3/1. Whenever the Infiltrator attacks, you may sacrifice another creature. If you do, can't be blocked this turn. So, 1, this is a sacrifice outlet for those sacrificey decks out there. Good things happen when you sacrifice your own creatures. You get some type of payoff. This is an outlet for it. Also, 3 damage. You get 3 damage in with this combat damage, and that helps fuel your Rakdos mechanic. Forget what it is, but you're looking to get the payoff with it. We'll see a little bit more of it later with some of the other cards within this guild. So this is solid, much better than the 2/3 modal that we saw earlier. That was a 3/1 lifelinker. This is quite solid. You see this, I think it's making it into your deck if you're already lining up to be in either Orzhov or Rakdos. Next is the Spire Mangler, 2 generic mana, 1 black. For 2/1 flyer, it has flash, and when the Mangler enters the battlefield, target creature you control with flying, could be this creature, gets +2/+0 until end of turn. I love this guy. I think he is one of the top uncommons within black. I'd probably say he's the second most. Think of this as him coming in and dealing 4 damage as a blocker to some flyer. We all know that that's going to take care of any flyer out there. I think removal's at a premium. But he gives you the versatility of being a 2/1 who's maybe coming in and giving another creature you have maybe on the attack a 2 power boost to take out another creature. So very versatile. I like this card. We're giving him a 4. I'd scoop him up and put him in any of the black decks you got. All right, the cry for the Canarium is An awesome card. I'm going to say this is the best black card, uncommon card in the set. 1 generic mana, 2 black mana, so for a total of 3 mana. Sorcery speed. All creatures get -2/-2 until end of turn. Sweeper. Hits everyone. Exile all the creature cards from the graveyards that were put there from the battlefield this turn. If a creature would die this turn, exile it instead. Um, I it nixes afterlife that are out there. So those 2/1s or whatever ones or whatever twos that are out there that have afterlife, this nixes them. It exiles them, so they're not going to be able to create those afterlife tokens. Keep this in mind when building your deck. This is much better to let the opponent kind of develop and then you slap it in. You could also play it after combat. You send in a bunch of creatures. They block. Maybe they have the benefits of blocks, but they take a lot of damage. Maybe some combat damage, maybe some creature damage, and you sweep the board, getting that last little bit of -2 against them, and then it exiles their creatures, kind of resets the board. This gives you an advantage because at least you knew it was coming. Your deck's kind of built around that. Your game plan, your card in hand, that sort of deal. Having said that, better than the last one. I think this is a 4, and this is swinging you into a black deck to build a very controlling type of mode. Next up, we got Drill Bit. This is 2 generic mana, 1 black mana, sorcery speed. Nope, it has Spectacle. That's the Rakdos text that we were trying to remember earlier here. So reduced cost, you can play just 1 black for this. When you ever play this card, player reveals their hand, they choose a non-land card from it, that player discards the card. It's fine, you're probably going to want to look to Spectacle. You think you got to do this early, otherwise you're looking at someone just holding on to maybe a land. It's not great for that, and thus we're going to give it a 2.5. Solid for the 1 cost of black mana. I wouldn't look to mostly play this though. All right, Vindicative Vampire. This is a quite solid card, probably the 3rd best uncommon, we'll say, in black, because this is your sacrifice payoff. 3 generic mana, 1 black mana for a 2/3. Okay, solid. Not the best going rate for the body there. But whenever another creature you control dies, this creature deals 1 damage to each opponent. You gain 1 life. So if you're looking to sacrifice a lot of creatures, this is your guy. I'd say he's okay though. That 1 damage, gain 1 life. You're gonna have to ping away. That's gonna take some time. You really need to build it around the afterlifers, or you got out there quick with Rakdos, and you just keep attacking with all those other creatures. They either take it, they can block in front of it, maybe sometimes chump block, but they block in front of it, and they're still taking some of the damage off of it. Solid, so we're giving it a 3.5. It works in either of the black decks. Orzhov Racketeers, so this is for 4 generic mana and a black mana, so total of 5 mana for a 3/2. Whenever this creature deals combat damage to the player, that player discards a card. Afterlife of 2, so solid afterlife. Kind of gives you a total of 5 power, 2 toughness, but it's not real durable at that 2 toughness, especially for a 5-drop. I don't think you're ever really going to be getting in to get the opponent to discard a card, especially when it matters to them. They get to choose if they want to block or not. So not the greatest, and as such, we're going to give this a 2. Clear the Stage. This is our last uncommon in black. It is 4 generic mana and a black mana, so total of 5 mana for an instant speed. Instant speed removal here. Target creature gets -3/-3 until end of turn. If you control a creature with 4 or greater, you may return 1 target creature from your graveyard to your hand. Now, let's note here, first thing I like about this is that it's splashable. You get to -3 out there. Maybe if you're playing kind of like one of those off-colored guilds, maybe Mardu can bring this in. you're looking at um, like a a blue, white, black controlling deck could kind of bring this in. But you're really looking for that payoff with the 4 toughness, and if you're looking for that in like the Rakdos world, it's probably more so where you're gonna see it. And you're really only looking at the Firewheeler as far as cards that really put it over the top with the 4 power toughness. You got another common in black, and which you'll see a little bit later here, the Thrall, which is okay, but you don't have like the best 4+ power creatures with this. So Jund is maybe one of the better options for this guy, because that's really where you see the 4 power creatures. So as such, I really like this card, especially if you're maybe already in Gruul. You're looking to pick up maybe some guild gates, kind of get into Jund. We're giving this guy, oops, had it for a second there, 3.5. All right, on to our black commons. Thirsting Shade, 1 black mana for a 1/1 lifelinker. It has a pump ability, so that you can pump 2 generic mana, 1 black mana, and it gets +1/+1 to end a turn. I think this is too expensive of a pump. 1/1 for a 1. You could do much better with your cards. We're giving this guy 2. Plague Rite. So 1 generic mana, 1 black mana for a 2/1. Whenever this card becomes blocked, each creature blocking gets -1 till -1 till end of turn. I mean, this still dies to a bear. Just a normal 2/2 out there. It means it can't be chumped by 1/1s or 1Xs or X1s or any type of those combinations. But anything that's 2/2 or greater on that power scale, it's gonna die and just kind of lose out. And it's whenever it becomes blocked, not whenever it's blocking itself. It doesn't get to choose, which is tough. As such, this guy is really only a 2. Don't be fooled by his card text. The Rakdos Trumpeteer, 1 generic mana, 1 black mana, 1/3 menace. It's got a pump ability. So whenever you pump 3 generic mana or red into it, it gets +2/+0 till end of turn. It's only an option if you're in Rakdos, guys. 1/3 menace, okay. I mean, it's going to come in and maybe trigger your Spectacle, which early on it'll do, and that's not bad. But a 1/3 isn't that crazy, and the pump's pretty expensive. I still think you could do better, especially some of the earlier true drops we were mentioning in Orzhov earlier. I think this is a 2.5. Bladebrand, this is a trick. 1 generic mana, 1 black mana for instant speed. Target creature gains death touch until end of turn. Draw a card. Love this trick. Love that it cantrips itself. So this could take some simple Afterlife Spirit token 1/1 and turn it into a killer that the opponent thought they were just chump blocking or just blocking in front of, just to take it, or they thought they were walking to overwhelming good blocking situation for them. You are, I think this is probably the second best black uncommon. I got it number 2 on my board, and we're giving it, not a 3.0, a 3.5. We're bumping it up. I love that cantrip. Card draw, especially in black here. Noxious Graudion, 2 generic mana, 1 black mana for a 2/2 Death Toucher. That's solid. We had a 3 mana 2/2 Death Toucher last set, and it was pretty solid. Don't overlook those Death Touchers. This is a great blocker and pretty good if you're looking to get in for the stall, or you're looking to attack in, and it doesn't look like fortuitous blocks for them. This is a solid 3. Next up, we got Grotesque Demise. 2 generic mana, 1 black mana for instant speed. Exile target creature with power 2 or less. This will take care of those guild masters that are out there. So this is solid removal. Note that it exiles, so it'll get rid of those any small afterlifers out there. Get you kind of the value there. So probably good sideboard there. No, don't let them adapt on you. If they're going to adapt, let them put the adapt mechanic on the stack, and then you can exile in response. Let them tap out the mana. That's a good trick for that. So pretty good against the Orzhov, pretty good against the Simic. We're giving this a 3. Undercity Embrace, 2 generic mana, 1 black mana. Instant speed, target opponent sacrifices a creature. If you control a creature with power 4 or greater, you gain 4 life. As we mentioned earlier with that power 4 or greater, not the greatest ones in the black realm here. Target opponent sacrifices a creature. I think there's too many creatures out there to really make the opponent kind of feel that. It ends up being their choice. We're giving this just a 2. Carry on Imp is 3 generic mana, 1 black for a 2/3 flyer. Whenever it enters the battlefield, you may exile a creature card from any graveyard. If you do, you gain 2 life. So I'm guessing you could probably fight a creature unless you're against some type of controller out there. Could be your own creature, maybe some little janky thing you don't care about. Good rate, I think, for a 2/3 flyer. At 4, 2/3s are what we're saying is pretty common. It's solid. I think you're putting this guy in your deck, and you'll pick him up, and this is one of the 4 drops you'll want if you're in black, just being solid. Undercity Scavenger is a 3 generic mana, 1 black mana for a 3/3. Whenever it enters the battlefield, you can sacrifice another creature. If you do, put 2 +1/+1 counters on Undercity Scavenger, scry 2. So this is great for any of those little creatures that are just still hanging around. Any 1/1s or 2/1s. Build this guy up, get some advantage. Scry 2 is good. It's setting up your next draws, maybe bottoming some lands, maybe just 1 land, but you're really setting up what your next draws are going to be. For a 5/5 for 4 mana, I love it. It's great value and versatility. This is a good card. We got it at 3 here. Still got to sacrifice a creature, so not every board state's going to be fortuitous where you want to do that, but if you're getting a 5/5, that's getting this guy into the value range where you want it to be. Dead Revels is 3 generic mana, 1 black mana, but for Spectacle, you got damage in against the opponent. They lost life this turn. You can cast this for 1 generic mana and 1 black mana, so half the casting cost. Return up to 2 creature cards from your graveyard to your hand. I love the recursion, especially if you got bomb creatures out there, like a rare or a mythic, and they thought they got rid of it with some type of removal. You're returning it right back up into your hand. That is scary and backbreaking. This is, I'm calling it the best common within the set for black. 4.0. This is just where you want to be, especially if you're getting it off at that spectacle cost, where you can recast one of those creatures, put them right onto the board. That is painful for the opponent to stare across at. Ill-Gotten Inheritance is 3 generic mana, 1 black. At the beginning of your upkeep, Ill-Gotten Inheritance deals 1 damage to each opponent, and you gain 1 life. You can also pay 5 and a black and sacrifice this. It deals 4 damage to your opponent, you gain 4 life. So this, I think, is more for Rakdos control. It's fine otherwise. I mean, you get it down on turn 4, maybe a little bit later. It starts chipping away. It gains you some life. It's a little bit of some advantage that's happening here. The opponent's going to be aware of the 4 damage that's coming to their dome at any time to sacrifice this. So a bit of an emergency break on your side. So solid. We're giving this just a 3. You'll play it if it kind of works within your deck confines. Next up, we got the Blade Juggler. So for 4 generic mana, 1 black mana, you get a 3/2. You can also Spectacle this out for a great value of 2 generic mana, 1 black mana for that 3/2. When it enters the battlefield, it deals 1 damage to you, and you get to draw a card. And that is great. Getting to draw a card, like we were saying earlier, is not that available in black, and this is great. I think you're playing this guy as much as you can get him. We're giving him a 3.5. especially if you can spectacle this out with some early stuff. I think it's a lot more easy to get a 2-drop out there and spectacle and get this guy out on turn 3, and it really kind of keeps you within the advantage if you got the board presence there. Catacomb Crocodile, 4 generic mana, 1 black mana, total of 5 mana for a 3/7. Big back end on this guy, a lot of toughness. He's just vanilla. He's going to bump up a lot of stuff. He's got to be, clogging up the ground. This is something if you just want to throw out there and say, hey, we're going to battle in the air. So solid 2.5. This, is, you got a lot of weenies in the sky in Orzhov with all those afterlifers. So this guy, it might be a little bit too late sometimes. He's throwing up a brick wall, but he's not going to take out too much himself either, especially if you're staring up at some of the Gruul or Adapt Simic. He's just going to bump. Debtor's Transporter is 5 generic mana, 1 black mana for a 5/3. Note, power of 4 or greater. This is the Thrall we were talking about with Afterlife of 2. So tough that this guy is 3 toughness. He's going to die to some removal that's out there, or creatures, and not necessarily get all his value. He's got the Afterlife of 2, which is nice. This guy, I think you're keeping him more on the backside, and you're looking to take out one of their creatures where you think the blocking is more acceptable, or if you really need that 2 Afterlife out there, or he's just sitting back there, holding up those advantageous blockers for your 4+ spells that we were talking about earlier. As such, he's solid. We'll give him a 3. Last one we got here, consigned to the pit, excuse me. There's sorcery speed removal here for 6 total mana. 5 generic mana, 1 black, splashable. Destroy a creature, cosign of the pit, deals 2 damage to that creature's controller. Pretty expensive, but splashable, and it's removal. I think you kind of want one of these in your deck, not too much more. But having said that, 3.5 we're giving this guy. If this is your guild's colors, you could probably take another, maybe 2, if you're on that controlling side. But 6 mana spells, it's pretty expensive. You see this in your opening hand, you feel like you're never going to cast it. Having said that, I love its versatility. Being in a lot of guilds would just want one of these, and you splash it. And I think it's the 3rd best common, we'll say out there. And with that, we are through Orzhov Black. Tomorrow, we're going to be taking a look at Rakdos, kind of continuing on to a little bit onto the black, and then diving into the red as well. So until then, Planeswalkers, say wahoo, suru.